In 2011, a band out of the port city of Hamilton, Ontario, singer Skye Sweetnam and guitarist Matt Drake formed the punk-style heavy metal band Sumo Cyco. Since 2012, the band has toured consistently with the likes of the legendary band The Birthday Massacre, Nonpoint and Jinjer, forming a loyal fan base. In 2020, the band signed with legendary Napalm Records and are scheduled to release their label debut Initiation in May. In Scott Nocon's debut interview for 99 WNRR, the band talks about the new release and how they were able to weave the frustration of the pandemic into the writing of the new album. This is an exclusive 99 WNRR and Noconsideration Radio interview with Skye Sweetnam and Matt Drake from Sumo Cyco.
Hey, what's up? I'm Skye Sweetnam from Sumo Cyco, and you're listening to 99 WNRR.
Hey everybody, and welcome to an exclusive 99 WNRR and Noconsideration Radio interview. And along with Scott right now, I've got Skye and Matt on the line from the band Sumo Cyco. Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, so how are you guys doing?
Good.
Hi.
Whoa, hi.
What's going on, Matt?
Howdy. How are you, Matt?
Hi. How's it going, guys?
Good. With the upcoming release Initiation coming out May 7th, at least the first single that was released was Bystander. And understanding that, doing some research before this, that really was kind of a response to the frustration of the pandemic and what was going on there, and really not being able to do what you wanted to do, right? And being able to get out. And I'm sure many people share that same sentiment. So, because of the pandemic, and one line that really stood out, not in the song as much as I think you said in a past interview, how you're a slave to the screen. And that's so true. Everybody's watching on their phones. They can't go out. I think after a while, everybody just got to the point of just being, and in Nashville, sometimes if you go downtown, you'd think that COVID never existed, but we'll save that thing for another time. Right. But in regards to what's happened over the last year, would Bystander exist if it wasn't for, the world events?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't exist. I mean, it was written completely out of frustration of exactly what you're talking about. Just feeling like you want your life to move forward. You have these goals, you have these dreams. Everything was supposed to be a certain way, and you just
the music video was supposed to be different. We had to change the music video concept because of being
in lockdown.
Absolutely,
everything. All the ideas.
Entire release strategy, ideas of what we were going to do with the record, how long we had to work on the record changed.
And just sitting around being every single person in the world's a victim to it because of it, where I hate that's a terrible word, but we're all under it. So for us, it was really obviously frustrating, just like everybody else, to go, how are we going to work a business around it? And so it just made sense for our first single to be this song Bystander, because it just felt like we were sitting on the sidelines half the time, just racking our brains.
Yeah, very true. So everything kind of did a real change when that we had literally come back from tour in January, February, and then just got home in March. We were all excited. We had just signed a record deal. Yep. We're all ready to go guns blazing, put us back on the road. Let's get this record out as soon as possible. And then, it's just okay, now we have no idea what's going on in our career, and didn't decide to release the record. We were kind of in limbo for a while.
And we actually had other songs planned at first for the record. Yeah. And because we were locked down, we had all these extra months where we were told the record's not going to come out right now. We have to push things back. We have to work out things. So Skye and I just kept writing. And that's what our manager said. He was just well, why don't you just keep writing songs and see if you can get even better songs, and we got our own studio. So we went ahead and, I guess, there's about 4 or 5 of them came out during the lockdown that ended up on the record, pushing other songs off the record.
Was No Surrender one of those 4 that came after?
Yeah.
single to single. And I understand that the whole idea with initiation was to kind of have a concept, and really that's what you guys are about, which is awesome, and this kind of alter ego. So it's not only is it fun just to follow that, then again, you can't help but just be drawn in by the videos and you want to follow it. So again, props on that, because it just makes it engaging and fun. And it's okay to be a heavier band and actually have fun doing it and have kind of quirky looks and colors. So
that's awesome that you say that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's impressive that, or not impressive, but it's awesome that you pay attention to that and that you can respect that. Like there's, us being a bit of an oddball kind of band, what we do, some people just really hate it.
Sure, right.
And it's like, and when we started this, we knew we would. We were like, we're going to have certain people that are going to really get it and grasp what we're trying to do and have fun with this, bring rock and roll back to fun, Anyway.
Yeah, we're all about bringing fun and rock and roll together. I remember at the beginning of the band, really trying to not put as much color into my stuff, thinking that that's kind of what I needed to reinvent myself as, is to be darker. And then it just kept coming back in. I'm like, I can't do this. I just love color too much. I love color.
Yeah, there's a certain level. And again, Matt, you're saying that those guys, the elitist, and we've all run into them. And then it's always fun to say, so what have you done? And then they get really quiet. But, in that regard, I think of the guy in the back just folding his arms. It's nice. It's nice to be contrarian, right? It's nice to be able to kind of push the norms and like Mike was saying a second ago, back in the 80s, it's fun and refreshing. So how, like when you go into it, and again, reflecting in the last year, but records before, how purposeful was the approach and what you wanted to put out there?
To be honest, that's like one of our biggest, I think the biggest problem bands have is like not being honest about what they're going through. And so for us, like when we create, we try to library everything and explain what we're going through. And when we're trying to get budgets together, like we wouldn't even be a band without our fans that understood what we go through to get it done. We wouldn't be considered successful in a major industry without our diehard fans. But our diehard fans have kept us, because of the fact that I think we're truthful with them. We tell them, how much our plane tickets are, how much our camper costs, every goddamn thing that costs us to make this thing run. And I think people can appreciate that instead of us trying to hide it. When you lay that kind of stuff out and you start being truthful about it, you open your business up and they kind of become a label with you. And yes, we've signed the Napalm, but for the past 10 years, these have been our label mates. Like every single fan of ours has known how we've made this happen, which is super organic. Up until last year, we were just two of us with our two band members, a couple of other crew people that are tight that made all this work for us. So it's been, getting that honesty across and that authenticity is everything. It's just real. It's just be real about it, and it'll actually be more successful.
I hit on a moment ago just about the whole do-it-yourself, the DIY, and so I've seen that. And again, following you guys on the socials, whenever you're using Instagram all the time, which is awesome. Again, in doing that, is that more just spontaneous, or are you really kind of going through saying, there's certain things the label probably needs us to do, but to me, again, it seems very just organic and fresh.
Oh, thanks. Well, that's the idea. Is I always try to be ahead of the game as much as possible, to try to, plan a little bit ahead of time to give myself some breathing room. But usually it ends up where it's like the best posts always perform when it's like, it's in the moment. It's a caption you write because you're actually feeling that way, and so for me, it is very spontaneous to a certain extent, but it is, it's hard work.
But a lot of it's just always making sure we've connected with our fan base that way, by being online a lot. And so it's, we follow them, a lot of them as well. So it's just we're just online a lot. So Skye's always kind of keeping in contact and keeping people up to date. And
it's all we can do sometimes.
It keeps us sane. It keeps
absolutely.
Us sane. Because of the fact that we're not on the road, like, up until last year, we were doing, every 2 months we were on the road. It was like we had done almost 5 years of touring with, on off months here and there, but it was some serious touring to try and keep the band running. And then to come to like a complete halt where you literally got your schedule used to, like, okay, I tour for 2 months to 3 months. I have a month off. I get some things caught up and then I'm back out, and you get used to that life. And you get so used to it where you're like, this is how the income works. This is how this works. This is how that works. And then it gets shut, boom, and it's done. And you're just like, man, we don't know what to do with ourselves. And we actually have a media team member Francesca Ludicar, who's like our 5th member pretty much. She's been on tour with us and she does the media for us. When really busy, right? So Fran is doing a lot of the work for us. We come home and we can't even see Fran anymore. Fran's, she's locked down over here. And Skye has always been a media girl anywhere. She loves it, but it's really one of those things that keeps us sane, being able to contact people, put stuff out instead of just looking at each other every day.
Sure.
How does a band like that and how does a brand like that keep its anonymity from its fans, but yet still engage them?
It's a tough line.
That's a good one.
I think every artist and band probably has those discussions within their own band to be like, where is our line? Like, do we want people to get so into knowing us that our phone whips out as soon as we wake up and we're playing pranks on each other where we're filming each other when the other person doesn't even know you are filming them?
It's, I think it's one of those things. It's almost impossible to get away from people now. Like, you can tweet anybody and talk to anybody in this day and age. It's just about if they respond, I guess.
It is insane to really think how like the younger fans really have grown up without any of the knowledge or understanding about what those things are. Like what you're talking about, the rock star mystique. Like they literally grew up with the internet, so they don't even realize what that was like to buy records. So you really have to put yourself into their shoes to be like, if I could contact and message any person at any time throughout my entire life, it seems weird that somebody wouldn't be a part of that in a way.
You have to be accessible. Like think about if you were a 16-year-old in this day and age, you definitely didn't buy a magazine to find out about a band. Like you never did. You never had to. So if you're trying to connect with younger people all the time, you have to be in this world of being able to be accessible somewhat.
When we get back to being able to get into your next tour cycle, so when you can get out there, is there a certain city or venue that you go, I just can't wait to get back to that place?
There's so many venues.
Yeah. Well,
we've had some pretty amazing experiences on the road. I mean, one of them just pops up into mind when you say like a venue that you're like, oh my God, it'd be so cool to go back to that place. Like we were lucky enough to go all the way to New Zealand to open up with one of our friends who's in a band they're all our friends in the band Devil Skin. And they invited us out there to play, and just like being able to hear for them that they've been playing concerts for months and months now because they've been clear of COVID, and watching them on our socials, we're like, oh man, we need to go back to New Zealand. It sounds like, this amazing like island where nobody has COVID and everyone can just party and still have fun. And it's like, that's where I want to be right now. They totally
are partying like that.
Yeah.
they posted a concert just like a couple of days ago, and it's like, there's not even social distancing. There's just not COVID there.
Yeah.
So they have a full-on normal life with normal concerts. And they I think just to make us jealous, they messaged us and invited us to tour with them over there. But they know we can't fly over there legally right now. So
right. So it's the idea. Yeah.
That's why they offer it. Yeah. Crazy about New Zealand is there's the band that we toured with, this band called Devil Skin. They're really big there. They own their scene, and because of it, they can't.
There's no venue big enough.
There's a huge earthquake that happened years back and rocked a bunch of big buildings down, and because of it, there's no venue that can hold the capacities for this band, so they have to put these big tent shows on in towns, which is really cool and awesome. But there's no venue names. But when it comes down to like the state, I mean, there's so many venues. Like we've been lucky to, I would feel if I just pinpoint one, I'm gonna like anybody that's watching this is gonna feel like I'm alienating all these other venues. Am I not wrong? Is that wrong?
No, that's fair.
Yeah. 2021, y'all. I gotta be sensitive.
Yes.
No, there's some really cool venues, and we a couple of years ago when we had Francesca out on the road with us, we made like a tour book. So we just took pictures of every single place we toured, showed the real life of Matt getting left at gas stations, and all the things that happened. We documented in this book, and I go back to it frequently because it's so cool just to like go through the pages and see all the different like places we've been, how it goes by in a big like whoosh, right? Where you just experience all this stuff, boom, 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 boom. But you see so many cities, so many cool places, and so many venues. So it's hard to pick.
I know which venues I love, but if I start saying it, I'm going to get other venues.
We won't push that. Understood. Yeah, absolutely. They're all great, and you can't wait to get back to them. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so sensitive.
Hey, so going back, during the Capitol Records days, how, being in those experiences, how did that influence your approach going forward? And how did that kind of shape your objective with Sumo Cyco?
I mean, that was a huge part of my life. It shaped me as a human. Matt was there the whole time. He was hired to play guitar for the first bunch of tours. It was a crazy experience because it really was just hitting that like tail end of right on the cusp of when MP3s were coming into to play. So I really got to experience like a few things that I feel like an artist would never get to experience at that level, where you're literally putting out your first record and you're kind of testing things out. I mean, like I was at the time a priority act on one of the biggest labels, which Capitol Records label. So to be that, be able to just walk into Capitol Records, talk to the president when I wanted to, have my face on the side of a tour bus, like there's some pretty wild experiences, especially to throw a 16-year-old that hasn't really even developed her own self of like who she is, how to work hard and accomplish things. It was just like a magical, weird thing that happened to me. And then you were expected to like work at a, super professional level straight out of like middle school. Right. So it just like hits you. Right. So it really defined who I was. I had experiences that were great. And I had experiences that made me like turn my head at the industry going like, why are things like this? Why am I expected to be like this or do that?
We still turn our head at the industry.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Why is that way?
I'm sure a lot of people do that about us.
Yes. But at the end of the day, I think that, I reconnected with Matt after being out of the kind of cycle for a bit. I'd done tours in Canada, from going through worldwide tours where I was traveling. Like I'd been to Japan like 7 times, touring and doing stuff for the record. And then the second record happened and the label all kind of crumbled. So then, to make a long story short, I ended up touring like Canada in like a minivan where I was driving like a bunch of guys around Northern Ontario, which are long, like 16-hour drives to get to the next city, man. It was insane. And I'm like this 19-year-old girl trying to rally the troops to be like, come on, guys, this is so exciting. And then we show up at a venue with like, 25 people. And it's just like, you're like, man, I was like priority act at a huge record label. And then just a few years later, you feel like you're back just like slugging it out on the road. And I realized that in some senses, that at the end of the day, it just really had to be about music and what I wanted to create. And that the industry goes in ebbs and flows. And one moment you're here and one moment you're there. And if you don't actually enjoy the ride and enjoy what you're doing creatively, then there's really no point in like, pursuing it. So I think meeting Matt, getting inspired again about music when he showed me some Skin Dread records, some other records that really like, I was like, wow, this is like exciting to me to push the boundaries musically now. And just try something. I have nothing to lose now. Let's just like try some new stuff. And so
we've been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
And also just to figure out the puzzle of like, I had this amazing, magical, cool experience, but to be honest, none of the connections or people in that world really helped too much to get to where I am with the band. It was really like I had to break everything down and start from the bottom and literally go, I'm making new connections, because there's a lot of things in the pop and rock universes that don't really mix. And especially if I'm coming into an executive's office saying, hey, I just wrote this new song with my metal rock band. And they're used to like pitching like top A, mainstream down the middle songs. They're like, I don't know what to do with this song. Like, this isn't my bag. This isn't what I promote. This is what I do. Like, what you're going to have to do, Skye, is get out on the road and, meet people that like this. And so it was like a bit of an awakening for me too, because I just thought, well, I could do any style of music. And it's like, well, it's really a different way to kind of like establish yourself in different scenes. You could walk in with a hit pop song to a record and they might be able to help you. But in that situation, it was like, okay, I really do have to pay my dues, get back on the road, figure out who my fans are, so it was quite a learning experience, but I'm really proud, coming from that really does make me, I feel a stronger, like more resilient person, that I was able to figure things out on my own, really take credit for every step we've made as a band ourselves. And
what's crazy is we've had in the past, people think that we're manufactured. People think that because we do all our own music videos, and because we do all this stuff, and we do it pretty good by ourselves, we record everything pretty good by ourselves, we do our video. A lot of people started thinking that this was just like a manufactured thing where a major label took her and put her with this metal band. And I was like, this has got to be the most insane thoughts.
Right.
Because she walked away from a career that was she sold over 500,000 records back in the day, to an industry that doesn't sell records anymore. And she decided to go back to a van and go, I want to do this heavy band that's going to be totally different than, what I was doing. And then to hear somebody, when I hear people say that's manufactured, it blows my mind. I'm like, why would somebody go this way? With a label would want to go this way. This is somebody's own idea and project that she's come up with, this weird creature that is alienating herself sometimes in some ways more, but reaching out to new people, different people. A lot of people are claiming rock's dead. It's not dead at all. Like, we're trying to keep it alive here. People.
Final question I have was in regards to Napalm. What was the tipping point to say, yes, this is, we want to be part of that family. We want to be able to kind of take that to the next step.
I think it was just realizing that we need to grow. As a band, you always need to grow. And there's certain points where you realize that you can't do everything yourself. Even though I am a super control freak and want to do everything myself, you start realizing you actually get so busy, especially with a lot of the touring we were doing and a lot of the ideas that we wanted to create creatively with the music videos, that I needed help. I needed people that still believed in our project, that wanted to get behind it, that could literally be the people to help organize the extra hands, extra ears, paying attention to things like, how do we get this song on radio? How do we get, the right interviews for them? Like, that was stuff as a DIY band, I would have to figure out myself, on top of like trying to write the music, be creative, all that stuff. So I think when you meet, and we met Napalm on multiple occasions.
We talked to like multiple different companies that came after us over the past bunch of years.
Yeah, sure.
But like, we literally have never really cared about it. That was me that you quoted, right?
Yeah.
Not Skye, I think, because I remember saying that. And I even to this day, I still, we still just, the last 2 music videos, we still made by ourselves. But from our standpoint, they give us a budget that I can do about 3 music videos. From our standpoint, we're going to do 9 music videos.
Nice.
Right. So we're already on number, well, we did Run with Giants and that before, but we're on about 5 or 6 right now. We still have more to do. That's going to come out of our pockets because we know it has to get done to keep pushing the record. Right. So there with what Skye's saying is it's scaling. That was the biggest thing that even when I said that quote, we would never been touring as heavy as we were. I never even understood how heavy you could start touring. When I quoted that, I was just stoked that we knew how to run our internet. We knew how to run our business and get on the road for a while. But once you start getting on the road so much, it is a scaling thing where you're like, you're meeting too many people, you're doing too many shows, and there's just not enough of you to go around. So we still make our music videos, but we were like, how do we keep reaching people? How do we reach more people faster too? So let's find, we this was a huge, like, find a partner that understands what we're trying to create and do, and kind of let us still make our kind of music videos. A lot of labels just want to know exactly what's going on. We sent one treatment and we were told them they would get no more from us, that this is how it's going to be from us. And they were totally cool. This is because they're a great company.
All right, guys. First of all, thanks. I appreciate it. This has been awesome.
Thank you very much.
Awesome conversation.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that you guys are taking interest in such deep questions. Really means a lot to us that you've really dove into who we are as a band, and that means a lot to us than just like kind of stock questions that seem, generic. So that I really appreciate that, guys.
There you go. All right.
Nice.
Guys, thank you very much. This has been cool. I've had a great time. Scott, awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Thanks guys.
Taking time to chat with us, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
See you guys later.
Woo!
Nice. Enjoy your
Party on, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.